on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers and welcome to Stat Diggers for UFC Edmonton. We have Amir Albazi going against Brandon Moreno. We have a 14 fight card in Canada. And yeah, I was able to get a ton done yesterday. I'm glad we had the early start time for UFC 308. So I was able to tape a ton of fights. I was able to get a lot done today. So yeah, I'm pretty prepared, ready to go for this card. Some spots sticking out, some money lines, some interesting totals. We'll talk about it all. I'm here, as always, on a Sunday with Uncle Weezy. Weezy, we are right on time, as always. We're never a minute late. Are you looking forward to UFC Edmonton?
I am. Yeah. I mean, 14 fight cards are hard, because it's, you have to break down every fight and try to have an opinion on every fight. And, it's a lot of work. And some of these fights are a little bit weird. Like, what are some of these fights doing on a card in Canada? But there's some good ones too. So, it's an opportunity to make some money. It's an opportunity to watch a bunch of fights on Saturday. So I'm down. I'm ready. And I'm ready to break down this card with you, Brady. This should be a beauty, and I'm looking forward to it.
Heck yeah, should be for sure. It's a funny card. I mean, we got Officer Trevin Giles on the card, which I think is going to be fun. Love some Officer Trevin Giles. We got Romanov on the card. I heard he has a new hype video out, so that should be fun. Yeah, some fun fights overall. We got Derek Lewis on the card. How random is that? Derek Lewis in Canada.
Yeah, he's huge there. They love him there. That's why they had to get him on a card up there in Canada. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. And, I mean, any Derek Lewis fight is a fun fight, in my opinion. So, yeah, this should be a good one.
Heck yeah, it should be. Lots to talk about before we get into it. If you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel. We always go live every Sunday, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. Before we get into a quick recap, I do want to shout out the chat. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you guys enjoyed the UFC 308 last night, which was probably one of the best cards of the year. Very exciting card. One of the more exciting cards in a very long time, I think. So hope you guys enjoyed the card. Hopefully you guys did well. We got TH in here. What is up? We got Avery in the building. We got Bucky's MMA picks. Good to see you. We got Mushroom, Vitek, Tyler Ray. We got Daz. D-Gen for life, MMA asphalt. We got Nathan Robinson with is that Kate? That's not Kate Winslow, is it?
It's Kim Winslow.
Oh, Kim. Oh gosh, Kim Winslow. Jeez. We got UFC picks in balances in the building. What is up? Cole Stein. We got our guy Cody. Good to see you, Cody. We got Elijah one. We got John. We got Sped MMA Enjoyer with the 199 saying, horrible card, horrible judges. I hate everything. Geez, I just got done saying the card was good. But yeah, what was that? The scorecard yesterday that was just the word. Oh, the Leal fight. Did you see that Leal fight?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I watched that. I watched that entire fight. I had Renat by decision. It's the first leg of the greasy four-legger. And I was like, well, that's dead. And yeah, Muhammad Hadi Ali or whatever his name was.
Yes.
30-27 Fakhretdinov. So like if you had the Leal money line, one of the worst beats of the year, one of the worst decisions since Pimblett versus Gordon. But Brady, what if you had Leal plus 3.5?
Which I was thinking about playing that.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, I mean, every once in a while, because that fight was kind of close. It wasn't like Leal just whooped his ass in all 3 rounds. Yeah. I thought he won all 3 rounds, but
Same.
Like by a solid margin, by a margin where it was clear, but it wasn't an ass whooping by any stretch of the imagination. But like, if I had Leal 3.5, I mean, my head would have been in the oven. I would have punched holes through my wall. I would have torn off my shirt like I was Hulk Hogan. It would have just been absolutely brutal. So my condolences and to anybody that had the Leal money line, to anybody that had that plus 3.5. I mean, just robbed in broad daylight. Horrible.
And it was a phenomenal bet. I think Leal was plus 200 or greater. So
yes.
Yeah, that sucks. I know a lot of people probably did rip their shirts off. I did that last week. Can't afford to rip any more shirts. So luckily there was none of that for me last week. We got Dogfather saying always on time, always handsome, always waiting for Brady to oil up. Oh boy. Turn the sauna on. My sauna is out, not here. I'm not in the sauna. I'm in a room, actually. We got Daniel. Good to see you. Hadi Muhammad Ali, get some help. Yeah, that's not sketchy at all. that's not sketchy at all. Come on. We got Forrest. Good to see you. Good to see you. We got KC. We got Stacy saying Renat is hey, it wasn't Renat's fault. He went out there and it was the crooked, corrupt judge's fault.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we got to talk about this. So Fat Barnett injuring himself on the intro was gold. So Fat Barnett actually came out on Twitter. I sent this to Wheezy today, and he says, fake news. I got hurt with the spinning hook kick. Anything for a headline, I guess. So he actually didn't hurt himself in the intro. So he says he hurt himself with the spinning hook kick.
The spinning fat kick. And he's a big fat dynamo, Brady. And when you get that kind of torque, that kind of velocity, that kind of force on that kick, I mean, it was perfect human dynamics, but sometimes you ask too much of your body. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, like, if that kick lands, it's over. It's over, dude. And Kennedy got lucky. Let's just face it. Kennedy got lucky because Fat Barnett was coming for his soul. And he just better get down on his knees and thank his God that Fat Barnett hurt his knee throwing the spinning fat kick. Because if that hadn't happened, boy, we would have been eating at Sizzler if Barnett got that knockout win, my friend.
Oh, that fight was just kind of sad to watch. I mean, I don't know. It was a really weird fight. But all right, before we get into the breakdowns, I'll do a quick recap of last night. Uncle Weez, do you want to kick us off for the UFC 308 recap here?
Yeah, so it could have been a good night. I mean, like, I had a 3-unit bet on Abu Magomedov's money line. That was the ass shaving of the week. Absolutely had a great one with that one, minus 130, 3-unit bet. So that was a 2.31 unit profit for me. But my God, Brady, I mean, like, the greasy 4-legger was Fakhretdinov by decision. That cashes. It was Laron Murphy by decision. That cashes. It was Abus Magomedov's money line. That cashes. And then it was fight starts round 3 for Magomedov versus Petrosian. And with 8 seconds left in the second round, not a spinning back fist, a double spinning back fist.
Yeah.
Just it lands clean. It's the cleanest knockout. I mean, just it's a highlight reel, and you see your soul just leaving your body as a gambler. Like that was it. So I had a 1.5 unit parlay on Murphy by decision, and the fight starts round 3, and that was at plus 125. So that was like a 3.5 unit swing for me. I lost 2.7 units on the day. And then also the greasy 4-legger had that fight starts round 3. Olajuwon was in my chat, and he's like, dude, they don't have fight starts round 3 on Bet365, so I'm just going to do the over 1.5. So, like, there were actually some people who cashed on the greasy 4-legger this week because fight starts round 3 wasn't available. But I had a half unit on Rakic by decision. I mean, I don't think he was very close to winning that fight, so that wasn't the best bet. And then I took some shots on the Javid Basharat fight, finishing inside the distance. I played a unit on Fight Doesn't Go. I played a unit on Basharat KO, and a quarter unit on Basharat KO and a quarter unit on Hugo by submission. Trying to hit big there. I had a funny feeling that thing was going to finish. And when Hugo showed up 10 pounds heavy, I was like, you know what? Let's take the shot. You never know what's going on. He might be injured. There could be a number of reasons why he's 10 pounds heavy. Maybe he didn't train at all. And, maybe this would be a great opportunity for Farid to get a finish. And Farid looked great, but he just didn't get the finish. And then I had a parlay with the Petrosian points handicap and the over 2.5 rounds in the Ilya Max fight. And yeah, Ilya Topuria is that dude. I mean, he's unbelievable, man. I can't believe how good this guy is. And then Hamzat looked incredible. I hope that Robert Whittaker heals up really quickly from what happened to his teeth there. That was rough to see. Typical Magomed Ankalaev performance, Brady. He's priced at -400. He looks -150 and gets the job done with no fanfare, with no flair, with no panache, with no regard for the fans whatsoever. Just goes out there and he's ugly as fuck as a human being, and his performance is just the same, but he wins. He just wins. It was a clean win. I thought he won all 3 rounds, actually. But it was the bets I didn't make, my dog pick of the week was Rakic plus 3.5. That covered. I was looking at Nardiev by decision all week at plus 350. Didn't make the play. So, yeah, wound up down 2.7 units. And, which is, if you look at your screen right now, that's how my betting day looked.
Really? I think he looks handsome there. Look at that jacket.
Yeah.
You don't see a jacket like that nowadays.
No, it's a nice jacket. It's a nice shirt, and he's got a good beard, but that nose, Brady.
Yeah.
That nose. I mean, you look like there's going to be somebody skiing down it to go a jump, like in the Olympics. It's just a bad nose, but yeah, so not the best night, down 2.7, but I've been on a nice run lately, and sometimes gambler giveth and sometimes gambler taketh away, Brady, and he took it away, and I'm going to bounce back this next week, man.
Oh, yeah, of course we are. And I do want to shout out Avery Marina with a massive donut here, $99, saying, love you, Weezy. Brady, too. You guys are the best MMA collab by a mile. Let's stick it to the books this week. I will be splitting this with Weezy. Weezy actually sent you 50 on PayPal because I'm not a dick. Just now. I'm not a dick. I'm not taking all this. So there you go.
I totally appreciate that, Brady. And Avery, I mean, ring a ding ding. Shout out Avery Marino with a very, very generous donation to the cause here over at Stat Diggers, because we don't have a sponsor right now, Brady. So
we don't.
Today's Stat Diggers is sponsored by our guy Avery Marino.
Yeah. Shout out to Avery, seriously sponsoring the show. So shout out to Avery for that. Heck yeah. All right. So for me, had a slight winning week. Let's see, where should I start here? So I think the first bet. Oh, I had the decision only for Ismail. What's going on out there?
Is Spivak? You have to invite vampires in. Just don't invite him in if he's out there.
I thought the Spivak car was in 2 weeks. What's going on?
Yeah. Is everything okay with the baby?
I hope. Settle down out there, okay? All right. So anyway, I had the decision only for Nardiev. It was -117. It looked -1,000. I mean, Bruno Silva showed up. He looked drunk. It looked like he didn't want to be there. It looked like he just woke up, kind of how he's been looking. And the fight really was in no danger of finishing ever. So kind of a sweat-free decision only there. I thought it should be priced more towards -200. I thought if Bruno Silva was winning the fight, it would be by an early knockout, but even that was not even close. So Ismail Nardiev, decision only, 1.5 units to kick off the night. That was great. And then after that, I had Abus Magomedov, my biggest bet of the night. It was 2.5 units. I think I got -138. And yeah, it was kind of a sweat. I mean, the first round was sweat-free, looking really good. The second round, I was shitting my pants because he got hurt on a couple occasions. It looked like he might look for the door, but shout out to Abus. He kind of battled through some adversity there, took the fight into deep waters, and ended up finishing the fight in the third round. So I was very happy with that. That was a big hit. What else did I have? Oh, this is where it kind of sucks. So I had a 4-leg parlay. I had the over 1.5 rounds in the main event. Check. I had Jeff Neal moneyline. Check. I had the Aslan Sakara under or fight won't start round 3. Check. The only leg that didn't come through was the Petrovic plus 3.5 point spread, which it probably wasn't going to hit anyway, but he did get knocked out with 8 seconds left in the second round. And then apparently all 3 of the judges gave Magomedov the first round anyway. So probably wasn't going to hit. If it did get the decision, it would have been probably a 30-27 Magomedov. Yeah. But that kind of hurt. I also had a shot on the Petrosian money line, and he gets knocked out. So that sucked. And then I had the Oh, so this was what won me my card, my night last night. I had the plus 3.5 point spread on Alexander Rakic. I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. I was ripping up the ticket. I'm like, okay, it's over. This is not hitting, because the first round was really close. I scored it for Rakic. It was a very close first round. Not much happened. Rakic outlanded Ankalaev 22-19. Very close round. I'm like, it's going to Ankalaev, right? And then the second round happens. It's Ankalaev wins it. Third round, Ankalaev wins it. And I'm like, there's no way the judges are going to give Rakic the first round. But all three judges gave Rakic the first round. I hit the plus 3.5. Was really not expecting that. So that was great. And then the last bit I had was Max Holloway money line plus 240 for a unit. It was looking good. It was looking really good. I thought he won the first round. I thought the second round was very competitive. And then he gets knocked out in the third round, which, that sucks. But that was always the worry, I suppose. I felt that if he is the first one to knock out Max, so be it. And he was the first one to knock out Max. So Topuria this year knocked out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway. I just think that's like ridiculous. Both of those wins are absolutely incredible. So finished up about 1.24 units. I'm kind of happy. I didn't love last week's card at all from a betting perspective, really. Took some dog shots on Holloway, Petrovic, didn't work out. Really liked Abus, won there. So I'm kind of happy with how last night played out for sure. All right. I make love to my wife while watching Stat Diggers. Oh gosh.
Give it to her.
There you go.
Yeah.
As long as you're not making love to your wife while this picture's up. Oh, that would just turn everybody off.
Is he on a flip phone?
I think they do have. That's what they have in Russia, right?
Yeah, dude. They're probably still listening to the Scorpions over there too. My God.
Oh, geez. Get some. The corrupt judges saved my night last night. The corrupt judges saved my night. Cashed me a plus 3.5. Thank you, corrupt judges, for that. Who were they? Who did it? Tony Weeks, Jacob Montalvo, and Sal D'Amato. They got my back, man. They got my back.
Yeah. Yep, dude. And there were a couple other ones in there too, man. They fly them all over the world, Brady. What? Did we just get another $100?
There we go. Avery with another 99. I mean, this is the most we've gotten since Tajik Bey last year.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's right. When Tajik just went off with like $105 donations.
I gotta ship you another 50 here.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because... No, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. Let's see.
Oh my God, we're sponsored by Avery Marino, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody shout out Avery Marino in the chat. We appreciate you, man. This show doesn't have a sponsor, so it is nice that Avery's stepping up, sponsoring Stat Diggers for you guys, because we do it for free for you guys on YouTube every single week. And we're bringing up these. You got to put the stats on the screen, though, dude, because we're going to lose half of our audience if you leave that picture of Ankalaev up.
Yeah. All right. I just sent you another 50. Yeah. Shout out to Avery. Jeez.
Shout out Avery, man.
200. Seriously, sponsoring the show. So Avery Marino is officially the sponsor of Stat Diggers right now.
Yes, he is.
Heck yeah.
Unbelievable.
Heck yeah. All right. No, I like to be a fair guy. Fair guy. All right. So I say we get into it. Yeah, let's get this guy off this. What's he doing in there? All right, let's talk some fights here. Let's talk some fights.
We're sponsored by Blockwire today. He has a crypto marketing company.
There you
Stat Diggers is sponsored today by Blockwire. For all of your crypto marketing needs, step up, call Blockwire. They're going to take care of you. Tell them Brady and Uncle Weezy sent you when they call, and they're going to give you an even better deal than they normally would. And let me tell you something. The deal that they were already going to give you, way better than all those other clowns that are doing crypto marketing right now. Blockwire, where it's at. Check it out.
Heck yeah. Shout out Avery. Shout out Blockwire. For sure. All right.
Blaze Hayes says we got to put a picture of Oral By on there.
I don't want to lose my YouTube channel. Let's not do that. That guy's so tough. I mean, you got to be tough if you survived the Ice Age. You got to be tough to... I mean, geez.
He survived the Ice Age. He survived 3 rounds of Mateusz Rombeski. I mean, like, that was an awesome, awesome fight.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. All right. Let's move on to UFC Edmonton. We have 14 fights to talk about, and we're going to kick it off with a banger here. We got Jack Shore going against Yusuf Zalal. We got Jack Shore, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. Zalal is 28 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Zalal 1 year younger. It's going to be Zalal with a 2-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. Jack Shore is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. A decision win against Ludovic Shalinian. Decision win against Tamir Valiev. A submission loss to Ricky Simone. Submission win against Makwana Murakami, and then a knockout loss to Joe Anderson Brito. As far as Zalal, he is 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He made his didn't make his debut. He made his return against Billy Quarantillo, won that fight by submission in the second round, and then submitted Jarno Aarons in the second round. So what I think we're getting here is just a resurgence of Yusuf Zalal, and I didn't even think he was that bad in his first UFC run. It's just like he was kind of whatever. All these fights are going to decision. All these fights are very close, and it's weird with Zalal because outside the UFC, this guy's an absolute killer. He has a 100% finish rate outside the UFC, but inside the UFC hasn't really shown that until he made his return to the UFC against Billy Quarantillo, and he actually broke Billy Q, submitted him in the second round, his best performance in his entire career. And then he goes out there and makes very quick work of Jarno Aarons. So I think Zalal is starting to finally put it all together, training at a very good gym in Factory X. He's only 28 years old. He can strike, he can wrestle, he can grapple, has good cardio, good durability. I think Zalal's the full package here. So I think he's going to do very well in the UFC. Jack Shore is no bum, no pushover. And Zalal's a pretty big favorite, I think. So yeah, Weezy, what are your thoughts on the first fight of the night?
Yeah, Zalal is a big favorite. And I was writing this fight up last night, doing tape on this one at like 2 a.m. And they're pretty similar fighters if you think about it. But Zalal's the bigger guy, right? He's the guy that's been fighting at 145 the whole time. He tried after losing 3 in a row to move down to 135. He had that fight against Blackshear. Comes very close to finishing Blackshear in the third round, but he kind of gets out grappled in the first and second. And then he goes back on the regional scene in Sparta, and he's just kind of cleaning out Sparta. Those guys weren't on his level at all. But then, he comes back and he gets Billy Q. And I'm kind of thinking, Brady, well, there were a lot of people betting him. I saw people betting him, and getting him to like almost juice. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Against Billy Quarantillo? This guy's just beating up bums in Sparta right now. I didn't think that he was going to be looking as good as he did. And my God, he looked phenomenal. And then he came out and just destroyed Aarons right away, gets his back, gets the body triangle in, sinks in that rear naked choke. He looks really good right now. But when I was kind of like breaking down the grappling, when I was kind of breaking down the striking, it's Zalal who has all the on paper advantages, right? He's a year and a half younger. He's 2 inches taller. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage. He's a switch stance fighter fighting an orthodox fighter. A little bit more pro experience, a little more experience at the UFC level, a slight UFC strength to schedule advantage. That's all on Zalal's side. And then you look on the Shore side and it's like, okay, well, Shore's 4-0 to the decision as a pro. Yusuf Zalal's 3-5 to the decision with a draw. So I'm kind of thinking, like, if I like Jack Shore on the feet, and I think he's a solid striker. And when I broke it down, Brady, I actually think Zalal's a little bit better on the feet, and I think Zalal's a little bit better in the grappling too. So, but I think that this fight's going to play out pretty close. I don't think that Yusuf Zalal is much better than Jack Shore anywhere. Not much better anywhere. I think these guys are actually very similar in skill set and experience, in strength to schedule, in striking ability and grappling ability. I think they're very well matched. But I think that this line is just going to keep going on Zalal because the recency bias is Jack Shore just got beat up by Joe Anderson Brito, and Yusuf Zalal's on a fucking roll. So I think that this line is going to keep going. I think people are going to be parlaying Zalal all week. I think by the time you get to the end of the week, there's going to be some serious value on the Jack Shore side because Jack Shore is no bum. He's no pushover, like you said, Brady. He's a very good fighter who's 17-2 as a professional. So I think that this is going to be a fight that plays out pretty close. But I edge Zalal in just about every area, so I kind of have to edge Zalal here.
Yeah, I don't know why Shore's fighting up at featherweight. Like, he was looking really good at bantamweight, but
He hated the weight cut, dude.
yeah, guess so. Guess so. And the featherweight division's not as stacked as the bantamweight division. That
That's a good point. Yeah.
could be another reason, but yeah, I agree. I think Zalal's a little bit better pretty much everywhere. But yeah, minus 245 it looks like it is now. So yeah, money's coming in on Zalal, and Jack Shore is plus 210. The over under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 is minus 235. The under is plus 195. I think it goes the distance. And I'm with you. I think it could be competitive, but I am picking Zalal to slightly edge it out. But I would kind of tread lightly on that minus 245.
Yeah, my betting model kind of likes the under a little bit here. 4 of 8 Shore fights have finished under 2.5 rounds. 2 of 9 Zalal fights. So that gives you about 35%, and the price of the line is about 34%. So it's just a tiny bit of value there, maybe in an under. And yeah, Zalal's been finishing lately. So could be, at plus 195, might be some value on that under there.
Yeah, I don't think Zalal's ever been finished, but Shore has been finished once by
Yeah, and it was Ricky Simon, who hasn't won a fight since he finished Jack Shore,
Oh,
by the way.
he's looked so bad. He's
Yeah.
looked bad. So maybe Zalal could maybe finish Shore. I just don't think it was Zalal sub too. Maybe Simone did
maybe.
it. Simone did it. All right, let's move on to the next fight. Do we have to talk about this one, or can we skip it?
Hey, dude, the fighting pride of Squamish, British Columbia, Jamie Lynn Horth on a card that's in Canada. Oh, hell yeah, we're talking about this fight. I'm fired up for it, Brady. And he's just kidding, you guys. Brady, he's been DMing me all week about this fight.
We got Jamie Lynn Horth going against Ivana Petrovic. We got Jamie Lynn Horth, 34 years old, 5'7", with a 67-inch reach. Petrovic, 30 years old, 5'8", with a 71-inch reach. Petrovic, 4 years younger, 1-inch height advantage and a 4-inch reach advantage. We got Horth, who is 4-1 in her last 5 fights, made her debut against Haley Cohen, won that fight by decision, lost a split decision to Veronica Hardy. As far as Petrovic, she is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. She lost to Luana Carolina in her debut, and then beat Liang Na by submission in the 3rd round. Yeah, this is a fight that I did actually tape today, believe it or not. Yeah, that's what I was doing today. And I kind of like Horth here to win. I don't like the price tag at all, but I just don't think Petrovic is a UFC caliber fighter. She makes a ton of mistakes. She's content to end up on her back. I think Horth's going to be just much more physically stronger than Petrovic. I think there's a big advantage at distance striking for Horth as well. So I like Horth to probably grind out a decision, but I don't know if I'm laying minus 200 on her in this spot. I think it could end up being somewhat competitive. But yeah, I like Horth here ever so slightly, but I would be absolutely shocked and quite frankly disappointed with myself if I bet this one. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Horth's a really good prospect, but she's 34 years old. She was one of these types that had problems finding fights on the regional scene, because she's kind of from a small area, not a heavily populated area, so to speak. And she was having problems finding opponents that weren't going to pull out or that wanted to fight her because she was a tough opponent. And she was bouncing back and forth between 25 and 35, wherever she could get fights. Even her UFC debut was at 135 against Haley Cohen, who's huge for the division. And that's what I'm thinking here about Horth. That's why she's such a tough opponent is she's well-rounded. She's got power. She can finish fights. And she's just really strong and big for the division. But Petrovic is actually bigger than her, 1 inch taller, and has a 4-inch reach advantage. And she's a southpaw. So I was kind of surprised to see that Petrovic was that much bigger than her. These ladies are well matched when it comes to the experience. But when you look at the striking numbers, Ivana Petrovic at distance is landing 3 strikes per minute and absorbing 6.2. Her distance striking defense at 56% is pretty far below average for the division. And I mean, she couldn't hit water if she fell out of a boat, Brady. 29% distance striking accuracy. It's more than 10% worse than the divisional average. Both of these ladies will wrestle some, but I think it's Jamie Lynn Horth who's a lot more efficient in her grappling. Petrovic, attempts about twice as many takedowns as her opponents do, yet she's only winning about 53% of the control time positions. And, she's getting her takedowns at 50%, but only defending at 60. They've both fought a solid level of competition, but, I think Jamie Lynn Horth's win over Haley Cohen's a lot more impressive than Petrovic's win over Liang Na. So, yeah, I guess I got to lean Horth here, but this is a wide line, and Ivana Petrovic is still the younger fighter. She's still a very good prospect, and like Horth, who's she was a champion over in Aries FC, while Horth was a champion in LFA and Battlefield Fight League, BFL. So, yeah, I think they're pretty well matched, actually, but I think Horth is a little bit stronger than her. I think she's probably going to be the much better striker than Ivana at distance, and I think they both will have success in the grappling. So I'm thinking probably Horth by decision here.
Yep, I'm leaning the same way there. She opened up she opened up at plus 185. She's now minus 200, and Petrovic opened up as a minus 220 favorite. She's currently plus 170, so kind of a terrible opener there. But yeah, the over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 is minus 400. The under 2.5 is plus 300. So yeah, Horth by decision for me. I doubt I put money on this fight though.
That's crazy, dude. These ladies have 13 combined wins. 11 of those 13 wins are finishes, and you're getting plus 300 for an under 2.5. That's tempting, but in this era and with these gloves, you better hope it's a submission.
And you better hope Herzog's not in there reffing either.
Yeah, that's for sure, man.
Because you have to finish
dealer these days, man.
Oh.
Was that him in there with the oral buy fight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it
was.
Because
oral buy was dying at the beginning of the third round. I cannot believe that fight wasn't stopped. Ribeiro was just beating him. But he came back. He came back and actually closed the round strong. But wow, that was the best fight.
Oh yeah, that fight was just incredible. Incredible. Hey, you tell that to Jocelyn Edwards. Edwards. But yeah, I think this fight probably does go the distance. All right, Let's move on to the next fight. We have an interesting one here. We got Chad Anheliger going against Cody Gibson. We got Anheliger, 37 years old, 5'6" with a 64-inch reach. Cody Gibson, 37 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. Same age there. It's going to be Gibson with a 4-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. And Anheliger, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. A decision win against Moin Gafurov on the Contender Series. A knockout win against Jesse Strader. A decision loss to Alatang Haley. Submission loss to Jose Johnson. And then a decision win against Charlampos Gregorio. As far as Cody Gibson, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He fought Brad Katona in the Ultimate Fighter finale. He lost to Miles Johns by decision after that, and then beat Brian Kelleher by submission in the first round. So this is a line that's just been getting smashed the last couple of days in favor of Cody Gibson. And I'm kind of upset because I was looking at this card last week, first look, no tape, and it's like I saw Cody Gibson at like minus 120 against Anheliger, and I'm like, okay, I got to tape this and see what's up. And I waited too long. By the time I taped it, he was like minus 180. He's now minus 190. And I think it's a good spot here for Cody Gibson. I just think stylistically, it's kind of a tough matchup for Anheliger. Anheliger is a guy that does struggle with the takedown defense, the submission defense. I think he's been submitted 6 or 7 times. Cody Gibson has a wrestling background, really good jiu-jitsu. He's going to be taller, longer. I think this should be Cody Gibson. Anheliger does have a lot of power, though. So, Cody Gibson is hittable, but I think Cody Gibson can win this fight in many different ways. So, yeah, the money line's gone at this point. I'm not touching it, but I'm going to be looking at some props here for this one. Weezy, what are your thoughts for this fight?
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of the first 2, right? Where it's like, I don't know if I want to lay this much juice, but I kind of like the favorite. And Anheliger's just hasn't been inspiring, to just get kind of like 30-27 by Alatang Haley.
Oh,
you're probably not going to do well at the UFC level. He beat Charlampos Gregorio, but he got subbed by Jose Johnson, and Jose's a freak. He's so tall and long. So it's a weird matchup there, but Chad has just been submitted so many times, and Gibson's a guy that can get that he can get submissions. He's got 5 wins by submission in his career. So, I think that these guys have been subbed a ton, man. Cody Gibson, 4 career losses by submission. Chad Anheliger, 6 career losses by submission. So yeah, like 10 out of their 17 combined losses are by submission, and neither one of these guys has ever been knocked out. So they're both pretty durable guys. Yeah, sloppy fight. But I'm just not in the habit of laying juice on a guy like Cody Gibson, 37-year-old bantamweight, but he's fighting a 37-year-old bantamweight. So I don't think age is that much of an issue here, but Cody's taller, he's longer, and he's been fighting the better level of competition. I mean, look at Katona and Johns are tough opponents, but Gregoriou, Johnson, Alatang, Haley, not so much. So, I lean Gibson here as well, dude. But yeah, not going to be laying juice on Cody Gibson in 2024. No, sir.
Yeah, not at -190. I'm sure a lot of sharp people probably got in like -120, -130 last week. That's why I want to start getting like really ahead, because some of these lines just getting smashed so early. People are on it nowadays.
Yeah, these markets get sharper and sharper, but also if you're a value guy, you sometimes waiting until Friday and Saturday with the parlay boys pushing things to where they get to, like for instance, last week, Rabeski was -500 against Carlos Diego Ferreira, and he closes at +250 versus, a guy who got unfrozen just 24 years ago, a guy who's from the Ice Age. So, I mean, and he won that fight. You got to take advantage of recency bias sometimes.
Yeah, one of the parlay boys will be making a turn this week. I don't think there's many big favorites on this card. Zalal, I think, is one of the big. I think Zalal and Mike Malott are the 2 biggest favorites. Mike Malott's pretty trustworthy, right?
Well, I mean, after the last one, maybe not so much, but the guy's still a vicious finisher. I mean, we'll talk about him, obviously, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back in there.
Yep, for sure. All right. What do we got here in the chat? Iceland liking the dog here, and Anheliger, he definitely he has a path. He has a path. I think they both on losses and question each other. They're both on losses. I don't know. I just put $10 on a all Canadian parlay. How many Canadians are on this card?
At least 8, I think. So we've got Horth, Anheliger, Sidey, Jourdain, Jasudavicius is 5, Zahabi's 6, Malott 7, Barriault is 8, Kyle Machado, who's Brazilian but lives in Canada, makes 9, and then I think it's just 9.
9? Okay.
Yeah.
On a 14-fight card. Only 9.
Yep.
All right. As a Canadian, goodbye. Yeah, the Canadian fighters have had a rough time lately throughout like Contender Series. But maybe it all changes this week. We'll see. All right. So let's move on to the next fight. It is, this fight should be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
We have Surrey City going against Garrett Armfield. We got City, 28 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. Armfield, 28 years old, 5'6", with a 70-inch reach. Same age there. It's going to be City with a 5-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. City is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He beat Ramon Tavares on the Contender Series, about a 60-second knockout, but a very early finish, very early stoppage, I should say. And then in his debut, he rematched Tavares, and he lost that fight by a close decision. As far as Armfield, he is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against David Onama on short notice, lost that fight by second-round submission, knocked out Toshiyami Kazama in the first round, beat Brad Katona by decision. That's a very good win. And then lost to Brady Heastand in the 3rd round by submission. Yeah, I think this is probably one of the closer fights on the card. I think it's a striker versus striker matchup where City might go for takedowns here or there, but primarily these guys are looking to strike. They're looking to stand and bang. I think it's going to be City probably with more tools on the feet, just a little more volume, but it's going to be Armfield just bringing a lot more power. So I think it's a close fight. I lean the dog here just because I feel like it does probably go to decision, probably close. So I'm kind of looking at the plus money of Armfield here. And on top of that, he has a ton of power as well. So if there is a finish, maybe he does knock out City. We saw City get knocked down in his last fight. So I'm kind of liking Armfield, but not something I'm really running to the window for. I think it's a close fight. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I was watching City tape just before we went live. I mean, I think the guy is really good. The striking, he's very tall and long for the division, so you got to kind of try to get into the pocket against him. And his long range weapons are pretty good and pretty reliable, but he does like to get into the pocket himself. So I don't think Garrett is going to have to work extra hard to find opportunities to get into the pocket and swing with this dude. City is perfectly capable of doing that himself, and he doesn't seem very concerned with his own safety. You know, I mean, like his fights with Tavares, he was getting kind of pieced up in the first one before he landed that nice hook that dropped him. And in the rematch, which I thought he won, I thought City won rounds 2 and 3 in that fight, but I definitely thought Tavares won round 1 though. But it was a great fight. And what I was saying to myself when I was watching it, because City was so much taller and longer than Tavares, was, boy, City's not doing a great job of using his length. He's pressuring, but when he starts throwing, he just kind of can't help himself but get into that pocket. And if he does that against Armfield, Armfield's going to be there to land some shots on him. And I think I would have loved to have seen Surrey have more confidence and more commitment to his wrestling and grappling, because I know he's got a slick grappling game, but that's what you want against somebody like Armfield, because if you just stand in front of Armfield for 3 rounds, you're fighting his fight. Brady Heastand was able to break Armfield with the wrestling. He wasn't necessarily having success with it in the first and second rounds, but the fact that he kept going to it, Brady, when he did get the takedowns, that's when he got him when he was tired. And once he was tired, he was able to advance to the dominant position and find that rear naked choke. And City is somebody that I can't count on him to go and grapple heavily, because if you're not grappling against Tavares, then you're probably not going to grapple as much against Armfield either. So I think that, like you say, there's probably some value on the dog here, but this guy, Surrey City, is a really good fighter, I think. But Garrett's distance striking numbers at the UFC level against solid strikers in Heastand and Katona are really good.
Yep. I think it should be a competitive one. City opened at -130, currently -160. Armfield opened up a +110. He's currently +140. Over under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 is -170. The under 2.5 is +140. Any thoughts on the total there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always leaning overs right now, man. Both of these guys have 80% finish rates, and Armfield has been submitted basically in 3 losses, but City's never been finished. Armfield's never been knocked out. And so I kind of feel like this one's going to go the distance, you know, but what did you say the number was?
Like -170 to the over.
-170. Yeah, my data at that one actually has the under 2.5 at +140, a trifecta bet, but it's only a 5-fight total sample size, so it's hard to know. But I just don't want to bet unders right now, man. I just don't. I mean, we got a good amount of finishes, obviously last week, but I'm still not ready to bet unders.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to be like a Donnybrook that probably somehow ends up going the distance. I think they're going to swing dicks.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the best fights on the card without question. Surrey City is really exciting to watch, and I want to see how he does against an orthodox fighter, because he's been, the last 2 fights were against Tavares, who is a lefty, you know. So I want to see what he does against an orthodox fighter. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a really good fight. RIP Brady's Penn State orientation shirt. Yeah, it was a 1-of-1 shirt. My favorite shirt, gone. I still have it. There's like rips in it. Borderline unwearable, but yeah, maybe I'll get a different Penn State shirt for Christmas. I don't know. We'll see. They have significant strikes out already on Prize Picks. They're early.
Wow.
So,
maybe it's Prize Picks.
Wow.
Over 60. Here, let me look at some numbers. Surrey City was landing 5.03 distance strikes per minute, and Armfield is absorbing 4.97. So, I mean, if you're talking about 5 distance strikes per minute, you would need that fight to go 12 minutes with very little grappling, or 15 minutes with like about 20 to 25% grappling to feel pretty good about covering that.
I would lean to the more, but not extremely convicted on it. But yeah, it should be a banger. I would lean to the more. All right. Speaking of banger, here it
Yes.
is. Here it is. This is the fight we've all been waiting for. We have Alexander Romanov going against Rodrigo Nascimento. We got Alexander Romanov, 33 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. We got Rodrigo Nascimento, 31 years old, 6'2" with an 80-inch reach. It's going to be Nascimento 2 years younger, and it's going to be Nascimento with a 5-inch height advantage or reach advantage. Romanov, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights, a submission win against Chase Sherman, decision loss against Martin Tybura, knockout loss to Alexander Volkov, a decision win against Blagoy Ivanov, and then a submission loss to Giles Almeida. As far as Nascimento, he is 3-1 and 1 no contest in his last 5 fights, a no contest against Alain Badeau, a decision win against Tanner Bozer, decision win against Alir Latifi, decision win against Dontel Mays, and then a knockout loss to Derek Lewis his last time out. So, yeah, this fight's obviously very hilarious. I don't know what to make of Alexander Romanov. I'm actually really worried about him for a couple of reasons. I cannot trust this dude. I can't trust the cardio. I'll never forget the Alexander Volkov fight where me and you both bet on Romanov, which I think that was probably my worst bet I've ever made since I've started betting. And I bet on him like the week before the fights were going to kick off. He shows up at weigh-ins and just looks awful. It looks like he just got off the couch. He didn't train for the fight at all. And then I then go and bet on the under because he looks so bad. And they went out there against Volkov, and literally, I kid you not, he gassed out in 60 seconds. His takedown attempt got stuffed. And then I'm looking at the clock, and I'm looking at Romanov. He's huffing and puffing, just dead tired. And there's 4 minutes left in the first round, and he's gassed out completely. I've never seen a worse display of cardio. It reminded me of like Rodolfo Vieira. It was worse than that. 1 minute of cardio Romanov had in that fight and got TKO'd by Volkov. And then against Giles Almeida, he then proceeded to show off the worst submission defense I've ever seen in my life. His submission defense was getting on all fours and lifting up his neck. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that ever. So what happens if this fight gets to the second minute? What happens if Nascimento gets this fight down to the ground? Nascimento's a black belt in BJJ. That's his base. I really worry about Alexander Romanov. So at minus 125, as nasty as it sounds, I kind of like Nascimento. Like Romanov, the cardio's not there. The submission defense is not there. He looks in terrible shape, as always. So I'm kind of liking Nascimento, but this is just borderline 1-800 gambler and just ultimately a hilarious fight. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, like, if I'm kind of like at the place right now where if Romanov's fighting somebody that he can't dominate in the grappling exchanges, then he's just a complete fade. His striking is not great. You know, his conditioning is bad. Decision making, not even that great. And, you know, when you see somebody who was actually taking conditioning seriously for a while, kind of getting down to a smaller size, and then just to see him in the Volkov fight just blow back up. It was weird. It was very strange, you know, and the recent wins are over Chase Sherman and Blagoy Ivanov. You know, those guys are terrible. You know, I mean, but you're losing to, you know, Gilton, Tybura, and Volkov. I mean, those are top 10 guys. Those guys all beat Nascimento. So, I mean, if they were to fight him, they beat him. So,
Wait, please, I'm sorry. I was scrolling through Romanov's Instagram and I see him with a picture with a black belt. I'm sorry. Just continue.
He's got a black belt?
I guess so. I guess,
wow.
Yeah. Look, he has a black belt in BJJ.
Oh, wow. And look at those kids. Is he?
Yeah.
Well, please tell me he's not competing against those kids.
I think that's it, actually.
Oh man, it's like Kramer on Seinfeld when he was in the karate class against all the kids, you know, and like he was just dominating.
Oh, geez.
Well, maybe that's oh man, but yeah, dude. I mean, like Romanov right now is somebody that I kind of want to see him on the scale before I even start to think about betting his fights because it's hard to know if he's taking it seriously. Like you said, man, that Volkov fight was a disgrace, and I know Volkov grabbed the cage. And like he might have been going down. And if he got taken down, it might have been a different story how that fight played out. But because you don't want Alexander Romanov on top of you, but Rodrigo Nascimento actually is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You know, so this is a guy who's got 6 wins by submission in his career, and he can wrestle a little bit, and he's an American top team guy. And oh yeah, I'm starting to hear it. Let's go.
Here, the Romanov hype video just dropped for this fight.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Rodrigo ain't working that hard. Yes.
Picture at the end. Smiling.
Oh.
What the fuck is that?
So lime green band workouts. He's in a soccer stadium. You know, like that's kind of fucked up if you think about it, right, Brady? It's like, you're not working out in a gym?
I've never seen him work out in a gym.
You know, that's the, you know, like, aren't you supposed to be like working out with other mixed martial artists, and you should be in a gym, not on a soccer field?
Yeah, I mean, he's more band workouts. I mean, let's work on some conditioning or something.
Yeah. It just seems like, you know, like that lazy guy. It's like, yeah, I worked out, you know, and it's like, well, you worked out for how long? Oh, it was an hour. Well, what'd you do? I walked on the treadmill at a slow pace. Well, okay. All right. You know, but you're counting it as a workout, but like, and that's fine if you're just some old dude, but if you're training for a fight, you know, you need to be in a gym, wrestling, getting hit in the face a little bit, you know, like training, not doing band workouts. What is that, jazzercise?
I don't know what it is, man.
I mean, oh God. Yeah, I don't know, man. I got to go with Nascimento, dude. He's training in the U.S. He looks to be taking shit seriously. He's coming off a main event where he went with Derek Lewis for 3 rounds. Yeah, man, I think that Nascimento is the side here.
Yeah. Do you know if they do that band shit at American Top Team? Are they doing that band shit there?
I don't know, man. Like, the only band I see is when you're taking the steroids and shooting them into your arm. You have that band around it and make sure that it stays down here until your heart's ready to get it. You know, like that's the band that I think that they're using. And I think that band is a lot more useful than the band that Alexander Romanov is using.
What? Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. So I'm looking at Nascimento's Instagram, and I see him with other fighters next to a cage. That's kind of all I need to see there. And then I see this nice picture of him. I didn't know he was that handsome.
Oh yeah, see, like he's in that South Florida sun there. You get tan. It does great things for your cardio and your skin tone. Look at those palm trees.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's out there on a Moldovan soccer field.
Oh, jeez, look, there's with the bands again. Enough with the bands, man.
Yeah, man.
Enough with the bands. Oh, there we go. Look at those fast hands. There we go.
At least he's inside in the gym, but I don't see a cage anywhere there.
No. What's
it's
this?
Actually, like a Planet Fitness dragging kids around.
Oh, come on. Come on. I don't know. Is Nascimento doing this bullshit?
I
don't think so. Happy birthday, Romanov. Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. Anyway, is there anything else about this fight? Yeah. So people are actually betting Romanov. It looks like so.
Okay.
Nascimento opened up plus 250. He went to minus 140. He's back down to minus 125. And then we have Romanov opened up minus 300. He was up at plus 130 and money steadily came in on him, and he's currently plus 105. The over-under is set at 1.5 rounds. The over 1.5 is minus 170. The under 1.5 is plus 140. This is one where I do want to look at the weigh-ins, because if Romanov shows up looking like he did in the Volkov fight, does this guy have 7.5 minutes in him? He didn't have 2 in him against Volkov.
Yeah, and then you watch like the Spino fight when he quit, in the 3rd round. And that was back in 2021, and that was a great fight against a great opponent in Spino, and you could tell, man, he was ready to, he was looking for the fucking door, and the eye poke was his way out. So he can win a round, like he can out wrestle dudes for a round, but like you look at his wins, dude. Roque Martinez, remember that dude? He had titties, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, he takes him down and just puts the forearm on his throat, and it looked like Rogerio de Lima faked like he was sleeping. He gets the cheating win over Juan Espino by a technical decision. Jared Vandera, he beats. Chase Sherman, he beats. And he beats Blagoy Ivanov. Nascimento beats all those guys, except for maybe Espino, but Espino's retired now. So we would never even know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, how does Romanov win this fight? It had to be like maybe a first round TKO ground and pound, something like that.
Yes, dude. No, if Romanov gets on top of you, Brady, in the first round, you're in big trouble, because that guy's ground and pound is savage, and he's got a good submission game from top control as well. He can pass to dominant positions. He can get takedowns, but a guy like Rodrigo Nascimento, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, is not going to be, overwhelmed on the ground by a guy like Romanov, unless it happens early when he's fresh and he's eating big shots. But, Nascimento's got good BJJs, and he's got 75% takedown defense. So I think that he can last past the first round, and his striking's better. And if he gets a takedown and gets on top of Romanov, I think he's subbing him.
Especially a gassed fat Romanov.
Yes, if it's fat Romanov and it's round 2, he'll be looking for the door.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I could not believe the submission defense that was displayed against Almeida. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, the under half a round cashed in that one. Giles landed 1 significant strike. He got 1 takedown, and he subbed him.
It was too easy. It was just too easy for sure. All right, let's move on from this absolute mess to Charles Jourdain going against Victor Henry. We got Jourdain, 28 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. Henry, 37 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. It's going to be Jourdain, who's going to be 9 years younger, 2-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach advantage. We got Charles Jourdain 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss against Nathaniel Wood. Decision win against Kron Gracie. Submission win against Ricardo Ramos. Decision loss to Sean Woodson. And then a knockout loss to Gene Silva. As far as Victor Henry, he is 3-1-1 no contest his last 5 fights. Decision win against Jaime Barcelos. Decision loss against Rafael Assunção. Decision win against Tony Gravely. No contest against Javid Basharat. And then a knockout win against Ronnie Yahya his last time out. So, yeah, weird fight here. Charles Jourdain is coming down a weight class. It's weird with Jourdain. It's like these last couple fights, he hasn't been looking that great. I mean, he did get that win against Kron Gracie, did get that guillotine win against Ricardo Ramos, but didn't really look that great in the Woodson fight. Looked awful in the Silva fight, but both those aren't bad losses. But yeah, this matchup, I think it's according to the odds, the closest fight on the entire card. So should be competitive one. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, I have very little thoughts, because I'm just shocked that Charles Jourdain is moving down to 135. Was he a small featherweight or something?
I don't know. He's never fought at bantamweight. He's even had fights he even has a lightweight fight.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I always thought of him as kind of like a tall and long bantamweight, and now he's cutting down to 135 against a guy like Henry, who's just going to pressure you and constantly throw volume. If he's compromised from that weight cut, now I don't see why he wouldn't be. You see some of these guys, and it's like, you think to yourself, how the hell do you have a 6-pack and then you're gonna cut down another weight class. It must be like maybe he's not cutting much weight. Maybe he's just naturally just kind of wiry and skinny, and he feels like he's not dehydrating himself much. But like him moving down to bantamweight, being on a 2-fight losing streak, with the last 2 wins being against like Crone Gracie, who looked like he was homeless and was butt scooting half the fight, and Ricardo Ramos, who like recently has become notorious for tapping the guillotines like instantly. Very, very strange. So yeah, I don't know where Charles Jourdain is. This feels like a desperation move to me. Why is he moving down to 135? And then you give him an opponent like Victor Hendry, who's landing 9.1 distance strikes per minute, attempting 17.7. The pressure, the output from this guy, he's got really good takedown defense. This guy is really good. I mean, and the I don't like betting on these fights, Brady, when I see that somebody's making a move like this, because it just leaves this big unknown out there. How is Charles going to perform trying to cut down to 135? What's he going to look like on the scale? So like I'm leaning Henry here because I think that I don't think this is a good idea. Moving down in weight classes at this point in your career, he's 24 fights into his career. Now you're a bantamweight at 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. You're going to be a bantamweight. I don't like it, Brady. I don't like it. And I'm already a guy that's a big believer in Victor Henry. I think he can beat a lot of people in this division. I don't really care that he's 37 years old. He's fought all over the world. He's very experienced, and he fights a style that really kind of highlights his attributes. The guy's incredibly durable. He's never been finished as a pro. He rolls with punches very well. He's not the best defensive guy, but the way he moves his head and rolls with punches, he doesn't really take clean shots, and he never takes a backward step, and he throws so much volume, and he can just work you and tire you and wear you out late in fights. And Jourdain's always been a guy that's had excellent conditioning and pushed the pace late. But how does that, what does the weight cut down to 135 do to that for him? So this weight cut down to 135 for Jourdain has me asking a lot of questions that I don't have answers to. And because of that, it's kind of leaning me towards just staying away from this fight, or at least just staying away from it until I see Charles Jourdain on the scale.
Yeah. Weigh-ins are definitely going to be something to look at for sure. I kind of lean Henry here. I know he's getting up there in age, but I don't really see him, showing any signs of decline. I thought he looked really good in his last couple even against like Javid Basharat, he was kind of really competitive with him there. Looked good against Gravely. The Sunsao Law, I don't like that, but yeah, looked incredible against Barcelos. So I think Henry does have some stuff left in the tank. The fight is a pick him right now. Jourdain opened up plus 105, currently minus 110. Henry opened up minus 125, currently minus 110. The over is completely juiced, as it should be. Minus 265 to the over. The under is plus 205. Both these guys are very durable. Jourdain, I think, only been knocked out once against Gene Silva, and Henry never been finished as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this thing probably goes over, and obviously Jourdain's a tough guy too. So the over, what did you say the over was? Minus 240?
265.
265. 240 is, we wish, right? Minus 265.
It was minus 170.
Oh man, that would have been nice. Yeah. 10 of 14 Jourdain fights have went over 2.5 rounds, and 4 of 5 Hendry fights. So it's 73.68%. Line is priced at 72% right here. So minus 265 is about where it should be.
Yep, it makes sense to me. Let's keep moving on to the next fight. We got Ariana De Silva going against Jasudavicius. We got Ariana De Silva. It's so weird calling her De Silva.
Yeah.
I miss Lipsky, man.
I know.
But De Silva, she is 30 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. Jasudavicius, 35 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. We got De Silva is 5 years younger, 1 inch height disadvantage and a 1 inch reach disadvantage. Ariana De Silva, she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights, a knockout loss against Priscilla Cachoeira in the first round, a decision win against JJ Aldrich, decision win against Melissa Gatto, submission win against Casey O'Neill, and then a decision loss against Karina Silva. As far as Jasudavicius, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, decision win against Gabriela Fernandez, a decision win against Miranda Maverick, decision loss against Tracy Cortez, submission win against Priscilla Cachoeira, and then a decision win against Fatima Klein. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting with De Silva or Lipski or De Silva, whatever we want to call her. She kind of had like a career resurgence. I remember the days where, she was getting taken down and TKO'd by Montana De La Rosa. She was getting taken down and finished by Antonina Shevchenko on the mat. But yeah, since then, I think she's really improved that takedown defense, especially. She's improved that ground game on the feet. She's very dangerous. I think she's a very good, well-rounded fighter. She did run into Karina Silva in her last fight, but she gave Karina Silva, I think, was her first decision win. Karina Silva was an all-out finisher, 100% finish rate, and took her to decision. Was able to survive on the mat, so that was kind of impressive. Now she's going against Jasudavicius, who is going to be a little bit bigger here, just really physically strong, good wrestler. I don't know. I want to see how De Silva's ground game holds up here against somebody who can drag fights down to the mat like Jasudavicius. Is she going to look like she did against Shevchenko and De La Rosa? And even like Karina Silva was able to get like 5 takedowns here. So I think Jasmine probably goes out there, gets some takedowns, and wins the decision here. But she's a big favorite. Geez, minus 225 for Jasudavicius. Wheezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I mean, like Ariane Lipski was the gift that just kept on giving, Brady.
Yeah.
Plus 190 versus Melissa Gatto, plus 160 versus Casey O'Neill. Even the fight before that against JJ Aldrich, she was a massive underdog against JJ Aldrich. She covered that one. And then she was plus 135 against Karina Silva, who's a terrifying woman. Karina Silva, I'll bet there's a lot of fighters that just are refusing to fight her. So that she's coming off that loss. But look, let me tell you something, Brady. This fight is not going to be close on the feet. Ariane De Silva is going to kick the shit out of Jasmine Jasudavicius on the feet. It's not going to be close. And Ariane De Silva's takedown defense outside of that Karina Silva fight has looked great against Casey O'Neill and Melissa Gatto and JJ Aldrich. But Jasmine Jasudavicius is a better wrestler than those 3 girls. So I think Jasmine is going to be getting takedowns. But for De Silva, it's going to be about getting back up when she does get taken down. And if Jasmine isn't able to get takedowns and a lot of control time in every round and settle her on the ground when she does get her taken down, I think she's going to lose this fight on damage. How many times does an underdog have to cash before you start believing in them? And they're giving us another opportunity here, and people are forgetting how bad Jasmine Jasudavicius striking is.
Oh, I think we all know. It's so bad. It's terrible.
It's bad. It's bad, you guys. She lost a boxing match to Tracy Cortez.
Oh,
Tracy pieced her up, and Tracy's shorter than her. Tracy isn't as long as her. So Jasmine has always had the wrestling. She's a very tough girl, a very durable girl. She can grapple. She's strong, good conditioning. She's got a lot of the tools. But if she's not getting takedowns, if she's not racking up a ton of control time, she's losing. So, this is one where De Silva's got a path, and these are the kind of underdog shots you need to be taking. If you're somebody that backs underdogs, there is a path for Ariane De Silva here, and if she stuffs the takedown, she's going to make this look easy.
Yep, that's the thing. Can she stuff the takedowns against Jasmine? That's the big question. If she stuffs all the takedowns, she's going to look like a massive favorite, but I don't know if she does, to be honest, but we'll see. Jasudavicius opened up minus 300, which is kind of crazy. She went all the way down to minus 145, and she's back to minus 225. As far as Silva, she opened at plus 250, went as low as plus 125. She's currently sitting at plus 190. The over-under set at 2.5 rounds. The over 2.5 minus 260. The under 2.5 is plus 200. Yeah, no thoughts on the total for me. I think I could make a case for violence, but it probably does end up going to decision here. Any thoughts on the total for you?
Well, Jasmine is going to be almost impossible to finish. She's very durable, but Ariane Silva's has been knocked out 4 times as a pro and 3 times in the UFC. And even De Silva does have a couple of wins by submission. So I don't know, maybe the under has got value, but like betting unders these days, man, it better be a submission or some kind of like head kick or knee or elbow that just it's not these pillow fist gloves, man. They're not getting the job done.
Yeah, and even if you do get a sub, sometimes the ref won't stop the fight. Like hers, remember when Zhang Weili tapped out Yan Xiaonan? She put her to sleep, and then Herzog actually helped up Yan Xiaonan, walked her to her corner instead of
Yeah.
stopping the fight. Like what?
Yeah, do you remember she was out cold like a dead fish, and like Weili couldn't get up
Yeah.
because she had this dead weight and she had just killed this girl. And Herzog's helping her up. Get up. I got the over.
Yes, Herzog's cashing on them over. Shout out to Jason Herzog. Geez. So yeah, this is should be an interesting one here for sure. Really, really good fight. I'm a big fan of both.
Great fight. Yeah, dude, I'm a big Jasudavicius fan, and Ariane Silva has been just cashing as an underdog over and over and over again. So this is a very compelling fight.
Yep, I agree. I love this fight. All right, let's move on to the next one. We have Amin Zahabi going against Pedro Munoz. We got Zahabi, 36 years old, 5'8", with a 68-inch reach. Munoz, 38 years old, 5'6", with a 65-inch reach. It's going to be Zahabi 2 years younger, 2-inch height advantage, and a 3-inch reach advantage. Zahabi is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. A decision loss to Vince Morales, knockout win against Draco Rodriguez, decision win against Ricky Tercios, a knockout win against Arichi Long, and then a decision win against Javid Basharat. As far as Munoz, he is 1-3-1 no contest in his last 5 fights. Decision loss against Dominic Cruz, no contest against John O'Malley, decision win against Chris Gutierrez, a decision loss to Marlon Vera, and a decision loss to Kyler Phillips. Yeah, this is a weird fight for me. I mean, Zahabi just cashed as like a massive underdog. I want to say Javid Basharat closed on some books at like minus 800, minus 900. The decision prop was like minus 170, minus 180. And Zahabi ended up making it a very competitive fight. But it wasn't too long ago this guy lost to Vince Morales. He's so low volume, he's so hard to watch, but he's racked up 4 wins in a row. I honestly can't believe it. Now he's kind of getting a step up, I should say. I mean, Pedro Munoz has fought the best in the division for a long time now, but he is 38 years old at this point. Just a weird fight here. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's hard to know because Zahabi's a bit of a mystery, man. I remember rostering him on my DraftKings team when he made his debut against Reginaldo Vieira, and he was a big favorite and he was a hyped prospect. And when you watch the regional scene footage on Iman, man, he just looked like a killer. I mean, he was landing big shots on the feet, knocking dudes out. When he got dudes down, he was working them over with ground and pound and submission attempts. And then he got into the UFC and he had a lukewarm performance against Vieira. And then, he lost to Vince Morales. And there was a loss before the Morales fight to another guy who was it? It was, Ricardo Ramos. He got knocked out with spinning back elbow in that fight. And Zahabi's just like this. He's patient to a fault. You know, you could tell that his brother's a coach. He does not make mistakes in there. He does not leave openings for his opponents. And if you got a hole in your grappling game, Iman can take you down and work you on the mat. And if you're a dangerous striker with great takedown defense, then he will just wait to counter. And man, he's really precise and powerful, Brady. So he's a tough out for anybody because Iman is going to be very well coached. His brother is one of the best coaches in all of MMA, and he's going to be patient. And he takes so little damage that look at that distance striking defense, man. 72% over a 70-minute sample size. Dude, that's elite. And he's only throwing 8.1 distance strike attempts per minute, and his opponents are throwing 13.4. So they're throwing so much more than him, but he's only got a negative 0.3 distance striking differential because he's landing at 42.5% and he's defending at 72%. And Iman can mix in takedowns if he wants to, but he's not going to do that against Pedro Munoz. So this fight is going to be a striking match. It's going to be low volume. Every time Pedro Munoz throws one of those lead leg kicks, he's going to need to be very aware of a counter coming back at him. And Iman can absolutely hurt you with counters. Does this fight go to, like, Pedro Munoz finish only prop is still a bet that will never lose you money. I think he's a lot less chinny than Iman Zahabi. But this one's going to the scorecards, and it's going to probably be, dude, I mean, Munoz just outstruck Chris Gutierrez for 3 rounds and won a 30-27 unanimous decision. So what's the line on this fight?
Munoz is -120 and Zahabi is +100.
That sounds perfect to me. Like if I were, like, how would you line this, Wheezy? I'd have to make Pedro a small favorite.
Yeah, and me personally, I can never pick Zahabi to win a fight. He's just so low volume in there, but he's been winning. He's rattled off 4 in a row, so we'll see if he can make it 5. But I got to go Munoz here just based off of volume. He has the durability, the takedown defense. But yeah, this one's going to be super close. The over is -400.
This will be the easiest fight to avoid on DraftKings, bro.
Yes.
These guys are both going to be 0% owned. There's going to be no grappling. Both guys are going to stare at each other and be low volume, and it's going the full 15 minutes. I mean, like, the winner of this fight probably scores 45 DraftKings points, and I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I agree here. And then split. Yeah, this has split written all over it. And the judges might fall asleep. I mean, I know I've fallen asleep to some of these Zahabi fights in the past.
That's one way to look at it. But Brady, if you're a fan of defense, you are going to be in front of the computer with and if you're a fan of durability, it's going to be like defense of Zahabi against the durability. It's going to be your old school football game that ends up 3-2. A safety and a field goal and just a cloud of dust for 60 minutes. That's this is the MMA equivalent of that kind of a football game.
Who's more exciting, Zahabi or Ankalaev?
Wow. Dude, we got to put up a poll.
Oh, I forgot about the polls. Jeez.
We've got to put up a poll on that one because, like, that is like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, let me put up a poll on this one here. All right. Hopefully I remember how to do this. Okay, start a poll. Okay. Here we go. Who is more exciting, Zahabi or Ankalaev? Here we go. And there we go. The poll has started. What do you think? What do you think it's going to be?
I think it's Zahabi. At least he's got a 40% knockout rate. But I mean, like, dude, that Tercios fight.
Oh gosh.
Shit, was that horrible. I mean, and that's 2 guys who are very committed to a game plan. And the game plan is don't let this guy counter me. So you just scream at him and you're trying to feint and get them to go first. And when both guys are committed counter strikers, that's kind of what you get here. And Munoz is a guy who likes to counter as well. He's a little bit higher volume, obviously, than Zahabi. But I think Zahabi's probably more exciting than Ankalaev.
Yeah, that Tercios fight was wild. He went 27 for 235 for a significant strike percentage of 11% accuracy. 11% accuracy. Like, that's awful.
Yeah, and I mean, like, but on the other side, if you're Zahabi, you absorbed 25 significant strikes over 15 minutes, less than 2 per minute. Getting hit like once every 38 seconds. That's crazy.
It really is. All right, the poll results are in.
Okay.
And 63% say Ankalaev's more exciting.
Okay. All right. I like it. I like it.
36% say Zahabi is more exciting.
Yeah, man. Like being the most exciting guy in that comparison is like being the tallest midget. It means absolutely nothing, you know. Like you're the tallest midget. You know, you're the most exciting of the least exciting fighters.
I agree. I agree. All right, but let's talk some Officer Trevin Giles.
Yes, let's
Let's do
go.
it. We got Mike Malott taking on Officer Trevin Giles. We got Mike Malott, 32 years old, 6'1", with a 73-inch reach. Officer Trevin Giles, he's 32 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach. We got the same age there. It's going to be Mike Malott with a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Mike Malott is 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Made his debut against Mickey Gall. Won that fight by first-round knockout. He beat Johan Lioness by submission in the first round as well. Submitted Adam Fugit in the second round, and then lost to Neil Magny by third-round TKO. As far as Officer Trevin Giles, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Knockout loss to Michael Morales. Decision win against Luis Cosi. Decision win against Preston Parsons. Submission loss to Gabriel Bonfim. And then a knockout loss to Carlos Praches. I think this fight is hilarious because Mike Malott, he failed the Neil Magny test. You know, they like to throw these prospects in against Neil Magny. If you pass, you pass. If you don't, you don't. And he failed the Neil Magny test. But now he's getting the Officer Trevin Giles test. They're throwing him in there against Officer Trevin Giles. They like to give these very dangerous prospects to Officer Trevin Giles, like a Praches, like a Bonfim, like a Mike Morales. This is a fight where I think this line is like really off. I think skill for skill, these guys are a lot closer than this line indicates. The problem with Officer Trevin Giles is I think he has like a fetish of like losing in spectacular fashion. Like I think he's so good. I think that the striking's very good. The power's there. BJJ black belt, very strong, good offensive and defensive wrestling. Everything's there, but it's just like these lapses where he'll get chinned. You know, the chin's not great. He'll make mistakes on the mat and get submitted late in the fight. It's like he always finds a way to somehow lose. Like the Praches fight, he was on his way to winning that fight against Carlos Praches. He was like tripling him up in volume, and he gets knocked out like that. So it's like I feel like Giles is super alive here, but I kind of feel like at some point this fight's going to hit the mat and he's going to get tapped out. So I got to go Malott here, but Mike Malott's not a guy you can trust at minus 250, especially after the stun he pulled against Neil Magny. So I like Malott here, but not at the line at all. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, I think Malott's going to beat him. I mean, Giles is the guy that they're testing prospects against. I mean, like literally his last 5 fights, Morales, even Lou Cosi, because Lou Cosi only had 1 fight in the UFC before he fought Giles. So he was still kind of a prospect. Preston Parsons still very young. You know, he's a prospect. And then Bonfim and Prates. So, and with Malott's pushing 33 years old here. You know, so he's not really a prospect anymore, but he's just now kind of starting to fight a lot more often. And you know what I think happened with the Malott fight? I think it was bugging him that he had never been to a decision and won. And I think he thought that Neil Magny was just not dangerous. And he made one mistake and got reversed in the 3rd round, put in a bad spot. And he's not used to fighting that deep in fights. And he failed the Neil Magny test. And it should have been an easy win. And I swear to God, Brady, he went in that cage, and he would probably never admit this or say it, but I think that Mike Malott said, I am going to go the full 15 minutes in this fight. I have to do it. I'm almost 33 years old, and I've never won a decision in my life. I've got to do it because I have to prove this to myself. He never tried to finish him. This guy is such a gifted finisher. And guess what? Trevin Giles is so gifted at being finished.
Yes.
I mean, it gets really no better. Trevin Giles can find a finish against him at some of the most spectacular times that you could possibly imagine. Winning the fight for 2.5 rounds. You take down Gerald Meerschaert. and then you get your back taken. Wow. And then you get choked out. It's happened just too many times. He pulls stunts. He pulls stunts. And Malott pulled a stunt last time out, but I think that, also you got to look, though. Szymon Smotrysky, Mickey Gall, Johan Leones, and Adam Fugit. So if you're saying, like, I'm trying to find some value on an underdog this week, Trevin Giles mops the floor with all four of those guys. Please tell me Trevin Giles never lost to Adam Fugit.
He didn't.
Thank you. All right, good. So he mops the floor with all those guys, I think. So I think that this is going to be a good fight. But Malott is just such a gifted finisher. And Trevin Giles gets finished in 100% of his losses. So what's the under 1.5 here?
The over-under is set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is -135. The under 1.5 is +105. It was +170, though.
Yeah, that would have been nice to get +170. +105 makes a lot more sense, obviously. But I think that hits. I think that under 1.5 hits. I think Malott now learned, hey, Dana likes finishes. And going 15 minutes is great if you could do it. But you know what's better? Going for 15 seconds and choking out like a bum like Szymon Smotrysky with a guillotine. You go, you get your check. You don't absorb any damage. You don't get kicked in the leg. Just go out there and finish this dude.
Yeah. No, he should. I mean, Giles has been finished like 7 times.
Yeah, 6 times. Yeah, 100%. And you'd think like, oh, maybe he likes to get knocked out. Maybe he likes a sub. No, he's like a guy that's like a surf and turf guy. He's like, I'll take the steak and the lobster. 3 losses by submission, 3 losses by KO.
No, I'm with you. I think there may be an officer down in Edmonton come Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Mounties will have to, scrape his carcass off of the canvas.
Yeah. Might need some backup.
Yeah. And they don't even call their cops cops. They call them magistrates.
Wow.
Doesn't that seem like needlessly British?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. That's it's still the Queen's country. That country is run by the Queen of England. Well, she's dead now. So now it's the King of England, I think. Who's that panty waist that they got running the country over there?
I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I forget. There's some royal inbred loser. Anyway, what do we got next?
Did we touch on the line? Yeah, Malott is -250, and Officer Trevin Giles is +210, making Malott the biggest favorite on the card.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, Trevin Giles is a good fighter, and I think he can hang in the grappling exchanges. Trevin Giles is an underrated grappler, in my opinion. He's very comfortable on the mat. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun fight.
It should be for sure. All right, moving on to the next fight. It is Marc-Andre Barriault going against Dustin Stoltzfus. We got Barriault, 34 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. Stoltzfus, 32 years old, 6 foot with a 75-inch reach. Stoltzfus 2 years younger. This will be Barriault with a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Barriault is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. A submission loss to Anthony Hernandez, a knockout win against Julian Marquez, a decision win against Eric Anders, a decision loss to Chris Curtis, and then a knockout loss against Joe Pyfer. As far as Stoltzfus, he is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Submission loss to Gerald Mearshart, decision win against Dwight Grant, a knockout loss to Abus Magomedov, a submission win against Punahele Soriano, and then a knockout loss to Bruno Ferreira. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
I think it's going to be a really fun fight. I wonder if Stoltzfus can get takedowns on Mark, because Dustin's a pretty good grappler. When he gets you down, he can win minutes down there. He can look for submissions. He was like grappling pretty good with Mearshart for a while before he made a mistake. We even saw Punahele Soriano, for instance, go out there and just wrestle his last time out and win a fight. But Stoltzfus out grappled a guy like Soriano. So he was working Ferreira before Ferreira got back up. I think Stoltzfus is actually a pretty decent fighter, but with a guy like Barriault, you better be able to take him down and hold him down, because if you don't, he just doesn't fuck off. He just keeps coming forward. If he gets you in the clinch, he's like a hockey player in there. He can fight in a phone booth and just work you there up against the cage. He's really good there. He's really good with his output. He's a very durable guy, and he just kind of drags you into wars, and that's not Stoltzfus's game. Stoltzfus is somebody who's got good fight IQ. He's a thinking man's fighter. He's looking to kind of take you where you're going to be weakest and try to be well-rounded enough to be able to use different tools in different scenarios. But a guy like Barriault is kind of just going out there to get in your face and fight. And that's like the best way to like get somebody that's a thinking man's fighter out of their game, is just to get right in their face, punch them in the face, bust up their nose, and get them thinking about that instead of what the next move is in the fight. So I think that this is going to be a fun one. But Barriault has never been known for having like phenomenal takedown defense, and he will lose minutes on the ground. You know, Stoltzfus is a net minute winner on the ground. Barriault is a net minute loser. And even Stoltzfus handles himself decently at distance striking range. Just the defense isn't there, and he can get rocked. So, excuse me. I think that this is an interesting stylistic matchup because I think Dustin could have some success against Barriault, especially if he gets takedowns early. But I got to believe that Barriault is going to be able to stuff enough of them and be able to land enough power shots to kind of work Dustin. I think he probably wins this one by decision, Barriault.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with myself. And yeah, the total's kind of interesting to me because the over-under set at 2.5. The over 2.5 is only -135. The under is +105. I think that over is kind of solid.
Yeah, what is it again? I didn't hear you.
-235 or -135, my bad, to the over.
To -135. I'll put that in my template here. Yeah, 7 of 13 fights for Barriault have went over, 3 of 7 for Stoltzfus. But are they finishing each other is the question. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, both guys pretty tough dudes.
Agreed. Yeah, like that spinning elbow that knocked out Stoltzfus. I mean, that's knocking anybody out. That was nasty, you know. And then he got kicked right in the face by Abus Magomedov. So, yeah, this is going to be a fun fight. But Barriault Stoltzfus can't let Barriault put his back up against the cage and start fighting in that phone booth. He's not going to like that.
Yeah, and Barriault is -200 and Stoltzfus is +170.
What did you say again? I'm sorry, I was just reading a comment.
Barriault is -200, Stoltzfus is +170.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. The hometown fighter, he probably, you know, even if it's close, probably Barriault gets the nod. Stoltzfus probably being brought up there to lose, theoretically, not that that matters. But yeah, man, I'm leaning Barriault, but god damn, you know, it just feels like, you know, why isn't he -150? I'd bet him at -150, but they never make it easy on us, you know?
Yeah, they don't. They sure don't. All right, let's move on to this next fight. This is kind of a disgusting fight, and it's on the main card. It's Kyle Machado going against Brenson Ribeiro. We got Machado, 30 years old, 6'4", with a 78-inch reach. Ribeiro, 28 years old, 6'3", with an 81-inch reach. Ribeiro, 2 years younger. Machado has a 1-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach disadvantage. Machado, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, had a decision win against Kevin Szaflarski on the Contender Series, lost to Mick Parkin by decision, and then lost to Dontel Mays by decision. As far as Ribeiro, he is 3-2 on in his last 5 fights. A first-round knockout win against Bruno Lopez, knockout loss to Zhang Mingyang in the first round, and then a decision loss to Magomed Gajalasolov. Yeah, this is a fight where I just want absolutely nothing to do with here. I mean, I think Ribeiro, he's very dangerous early on, the first 7.5 minutes. He has some power, has some grappling, but he just really, really slows down after those first 7.5 minutes. Looked awful in the later half of the second round against Gajalasolov. Had nothing left in the third round. Machado, I don't think he's anything special, but he does have good cardio for a heavyweight, does have really good volume for a heavyweight. He is a BJJ black belt, but he doesn't really have the best wrestling. I think this is just going to be just a complete slop fest that goes 15. I want nothing, especially laying -160 on Machado. No, thank you. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
So Machado's moving from heavyweight down to light heavyweight. So,
Oh, is he?
yes. So
Oh,
he fought Parkin and Mays, and the fight against Parkin was kind of close actually. And Parkin's a good boxer, good boxer for the heavyweight division. You always have to
dang. Wait,
put that.
he looks completely different.
Does he really? You got a
Yeah.
picture?
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah, man.
He's not fat anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, like that's going to be important, because he's people were saying that he needed to move down, and he's a good fighter. He's well rounded, he's durable, he's got pretty good volume, and like I said, he's been in there against. Look, Dante Mays and Mick Parkin aren't world beaters or anything, but they're solid heavyweights. And Mick is losing to those, or Kyle is losing to those guys, but they're very close fights. But now, against a guy like Ribeiro, I think that durability is going to come in handy for Kaio. I think the grappling could potentially come into play here because Brenson's been taken down every time somebody shot on him. Gagiasulov just controlled him easily on the mat. But the thing is, now he's going to be facing guys like, Dante Mays is slower than molasses in January. Nick Parkin's not known for his speed. Now he's coming down to 205. He's going to be facing more explosive athletes that might be, a lot faster than he was used to seeing up at heavyweight. So it's going to be interesting to see how fast Kaio is here, how well he moves down here, and whether at 205 he can mix in the grappling, because it's a little bit easier to mix it in at 205 when you're not trying to take down somebody that's 270 pounds. That can be just exhausting trying to get one takedown. But at 205, it might be a little bit easier for him to mix in the grappling, because the guy is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, isn't he? Yeah. So, I mean, like, maybe we could see that out of Kaio here. Yeah, Brenson's nothing special, man. Brenson's nothing special, but he's got a lot of power. And if you get caught by that dude early, he can absolutely finish you. He's got a 100% finish rate as a pro, 9 knockouts, 6 submissions. And he's a killer, be-killed fighter. He's been finished in 5 of his 7 losses. And Magomed Gagiasulov, he couldn't finish a cup of coffee. I mean, that guy, he's got no urgency, and he's a lay-and-pray artist. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that Ribeiro, lasted the full 15 minutes with him. But it's going to be interesting. A guy like Kaio has been used to being in there against much bigger guys.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I like that he looks completely different moving down to light heavyweight there. But yeah, this opened up a pick of -110. Machado is -157. Ribeiro is +137. The over/under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is -200, and the under 1.5 is +160.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this one, wow, my God. I mean, Brenson Ribeiro, it's hard to bet an over in a Brenson Ribeiro fight, but I cashed on Gagiasulov by decision at +800 against Ribeiro, because I knew that Gagiasulov is not a finisher. So maybe I think this one probably goes over, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't want to bet an over in a Ribeiro fight.
Yeah, I would lean over as well. If he wins, give him Alex Pereira. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Take notes, Chris Barnett. Maybe we see Chris Barnett come down to light heavyweight in his next fight.
Yeah, give him about 2 years. He can lose enough weight to do that, man. No chance, dude. That guy walks around at 3 bills.
Poor guy. All right, let's move on to the next fight. It is Derek Lewis going against Jonathan Diniz. We got Derek Lewis, 39 years old, 6'3", with a 79-inch reach. Diniz, 33 years old, 6'4", with a 79-inch reach. Diniz, 6 years younger, 1-inch height advantage, same reach there. We got Lewis, who is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Knockout loss to Sergey Pavlovich, submission loss to Sergey Spivak, knockout win against Marcos Rogério de Lima, decision loss to Jailton Almeida, and then a knockout win against Nascimento. As far as Diniz, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, made his debut against Austin Lane, won that fight by first-round knockout, and then won a decision against Carl Williams his last time out. So, yeah, I think somebody's probably getting knocked out here, you would think. I know Diniz went to decision, actually, in his last fight, which I thought was pretty shocking. But, yeah, somebody probably does get served here. And we got Diniz as like -175, Lewis +150. they always seem to price Lewis as an underdog, and he's kind of like hit or miss sometimes, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I would lean Lewis. I think it's pretty much a 50-50 fight. Whoever lands the big one first. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
I'd like to see D1 Lewis come out here and look for takedowns. I think if he gets on top of Diniz, he can finish him. Dude, Derek Lewis has got killer ground and pound, and I think that's the big equalizer for him in this fight. I don't think it'll be close on the feet. I think Diniz is gonna mess him up on the feet. Derek Lewis is terrible. He's got awesome power. I mean, like fight-changing power, but his striking is bad. It's really bad, dude. 48% defense? Really? 48%? That's awful. 36% accuracy is awful. You want to know what's even worse? 1.9 distance strikes landed per minute. Not even 2. One every 30 seconds is too much to ask from Derek Lewis. He's like, no, not one every 30 seconds. How about one every 32 seconds? Because I'm that lazy. I mean, Derek Lewis, this is a brawler against a technical kickboxer. And a technical kickboxer in Diniz, who's known for having phenomenal durability. I don't think that this fight's going to be close, man. I mean, Diniz is 6.5 years younger than this guy. He's taller than this dude. I think he probably actually hits harder than Derek Lewis. I know that sounds crazy, but this guy, they both hit hard, but one of them's a brawler who's got no technique, and the other one is somebody who can just clip you with a left hook and send you reeling, a straight right, a body kick, a head kick. So like, I mean, I really think Diniz wins this fight, but Derek Lewis is a hard guy to fade. He finds wins. He can look like, because every win that he's ever had, he's kind of looked like shit up until he got the win, other than the Marcos Rogerio de Lima fight where he went out there and just starched him in 10 seconds. He kind of sucks for a while. And then all of a sudden in the third round of the Volkov fight, he decides to start fighting with 45 seconds left in the third round, and he knocks him out, but he sucked up until that point. So if Diniz doesn't get tired, if Diniz stays technical and defensively sound and just works his kickboxing game, kicks that leg of Lewis, I think he's just going to find a knockout here. But if Lewis gets a takedown, Brady, all bets are off, and I think he could pound his head through the canvas and finish the fight in the first round.
Yeah, Lewis has been wrestling lately. I mean, he took down Nascimento. He actually attempted 4 takedowns there, which
wow.
in that fight, it really made no sense. Like, why would you take down Nascimento? But he tried 4 times.
Yeah, maybe because he had fought Giles and Almeida the fight before, and he was like, I can out-grapple anybody now after being in there with Almeida for 25 minutes, so maybe that's why he did it. But yeah, I think he should wrestle. He should absolutely wrestle here. Take Diniz out of what he does best.
He went 2 for 4 on takedowns against Tai Tuivasa. So yeah, I mean, I think it'd certainly be possible for that. But yeah, Diniz minus 175, Lewis plus 150. Yeah, I mean, I 110% agree. Who's the better fighter? Diniz by a mile, but a lot of times it just doesn't matter with Lewis. Like, I picked against this guy pretty much in every fight. I think.
Yeah.
I think I always pick against Lewis, and sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses, but it's just hard to pick him. Like, he doesn't do much, completely knockout reliant, and he's gotten a lot of knockouts. But the over under set at 1.5. The over 1.5 is plus 125. The under 1.5 is minus 155. So laying a lot of chalk there for the under. I don't really love it at all.
Yeah, I mean, like betting unders in the second half of 2024 is rough business, dude.
Yeah, unless, especially laying chalk on him.
Unless, of course, me and Brady have bet on one of the fighters, then that fighter will be finished by knockout in spectacular fashion, like Wonderboy Thompson, like Armin Petrosian. You can count on it. If we bet on somebody, there's a chance they're getting knocked out. If we don't have money on them, it's going the full 15.
Yep. I mean, this fight could go 15. I mean, Diniz went 15 his last time. Lewis has went 15 a couple times and surprised some people.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you try to wrestle Lewis, he can kind of like stay alive long enough and land the bigger shots on the feet and win some decisions like he did against Roy Nelson, like he did against Alir Latifi. But those guys were not standing in front of him either. So that's why it went to decision.
Yep. So probably going to be staying away from this. I like to stay away from Derek Lewis fights these days. Just hard to pick. But I think we have 2 fights left.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 fights left. Got the co-main event, 5-round co-main event. It is Aaron Blanchfield going against Rose Namajunas. We got Blanchfield, 25 years old, 5'4" with a 66-inch reach. Namajunas, 32 years old, 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. We got Blanchfield, 7 years younger. Rose with a 1-inch height advantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Blanchfield is 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Submission win against JJ Aldrich. Submission win against Molly McCann. Submission win against Jessica Andrade. Decision win against Tyler Santos. And a decision loss against Manon Fiorot. As far as Rose Namajunas, she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Decision win against Zhang Wei Li. Decision loss to Carla Esparza. Decision loss to Manon Fiorot. Decision win against Amanda Hebos. And a decision win against Tracy Cortez. 5 rounds to work with here, Weezy. Really fun fight. What are your thoughts on this one here?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron's been away for 6 months, but Rose is coming back after only 3 months after a win against Cortez. Yeah, and Blanchfield got 50-45 by Manon Fiorot the last time out. It was a bad look, but, Manon is on her way to the title pretty much. So I want to see Aaron pressure relentlessly here. That's what I want to see. I mean, why play Rose's game? Why let her strike? We all know Rose is a phenomenal grappler, but I mean, Aaron is a level above pretty much anybody in the division in grappling right now. So she's going to have to get that part of her game going. And the best way to do that is to get Rose on her back foot and not let Rose, manage the distance striking range and outwork her at range like Manon did, because we know that Rose and Manon, when they fought, that the striking exchanges were competitive and close, but they weren't in the Blanchfield fight. So Aaron needs to get this fight to the mat, or she needs to stay in Rose's face where she can do just as good, if not better work. But if she's out there at kickboxing range against Rose, allowing Rose to move laterally and manage distance, she's going to lose this fight. So Aaron's going to have to be like a pit bull in there and just never take a backward step and make Rose get on that back foot and not allow her to plant and throw. So I think it's going to be a stylistic matchup, and I want to see the Aaron Blanchfield from the Jessica Andrade fight. If she fights like she fought in the Andrade fight, I think that she's going to go run through Rose. But it's going to be tough to do that because Rose is a lot more athletic and fast than Jessica is. So it's going to be an interesting fight, man. But I'm leaning to the Blanchfield side simply because I think that she's going to be able to get that pressure game going, going to be able to get that volume game going. She's just going to do more. She's above average on all of the output categories, Brady, and that's how you're going to beat somebody like Rose who wants to outpoint you.
Yeah, I mean, first look, I was thinking about maybe liking Blanchfield. After taping it, I'm not so sure at all. I don't know. I mean, I think this could be a close fight. Like you said, Rose is going to be the much, much, much better striker. And the thing that worries me about Blanchfield is I think her grappling is really good. The control is very dominant, but the wrestling's just not there. She went like 0 for 16 against Santos. Didn't take down Fiorot. Even against Aldrich, she went like 0 for 6, 0 for 7. If she's not able to get takedowns here, I mean, this could look ugly. But I would think she could take down Rose. But I don't know. I'm not confident as I thought it would be. But I'm probably going to stay away. Blanchfield opened at -200, currently -140. Rose opened up plus 170, currently plus 120. The over is set at 4.5 rounds. The over 4.5 is -280. The under 4.5 is plus 220. A lot of juiced overs on this card.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I think that's Bet Online just opening them higher now because like they're getting steamed. Like they were open, they haven't really caught on recently, but all these overs are just getting steamed since the glove switch because people are realizing that until that trend changes, just go with it. So I think it probably does go over. Yeah, I mean, like Blanchfield is if she's not getting takedowns, she's probably just going to be holding Rose up against the fence like she did for the second and third rounds of the Santos fight. But she's got to be pressuring, in my opinion. And if she stays in her face, I think she can have a much better chance of winning this fight.
You think over -280 is fair value? I think it hits. I don't know if I would. Yeah, I think it hits.
-280 for an over 4.5.
Yeah.
That's nah, man. That's way too much. Like,
yeah, but it probably hits, is what I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. The price is horrible though, as 6 of 12 fights have went under 4.5 rounds. So 50%, and you're paying 73% for the over. That would definitely leave the value in the under. But yeah, I mean, who gets the finish and how? Right? Is Rose knocking out Erin Blanchfield? I mean, I think Erin Blanchfield is extremely tough. And Rose is a very good grappler, always has been. Really, that's her base for MMA. So I think she can be fine in the ground exchanges with Erin.
Yep. Agreed. Probably staying away from this one. But yeah, should be a fun fight. Whoever wins this fight, probably getting pretty close to a title shot. I know Fioro. Is Fioro going to fight for a title soon or no?
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what's going on with the division right now.
I haven't heard anything. Maybe
right, because Valentina just won. She got her belt back, but like now that might be like, all right, now you got to give a rematch to Grasso, so like I think the division is kind of held up right now. So I don't know if Mannon's getting the next shot against Valentina, or maybe she might have to go through Alexa. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, just one big mess. Valentina versus Fiora would be fun though.
Yeah, that would be a really good fight. Valentina would be like, fuck this, I'm wrestling.
All right, so let's move on to the main event. We have Brandon Moreno going against Amir Albazi. We got Moreno, 30 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. Albazi, 31 years old, 5'5" with a 68-inch reach. Moreno with 1 year younger. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. Moreno is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Decision loss against Davison Figueiredo. Knockout win against Kai Kara France. Knockout win against Davison. Decision loss to Pantoja, and then a decision loss to Brandon Royval. Both very close fights. As far as Albazi, 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Submitted Malcolm Gordon in the first round. Beat Zalga Sumagula by decision. Submitted Francisco Figueiredo. Knocked out Alessandro Costa, and then beat Kai Kara France by decision his last time out. But yeah, fun fight here. One thing I'll say about Albazi is I think he's a very good fighter. Like the wrestling, the grappling, the striking is not bad. But if he's able to beat Moreno, I think that's his best win by a mile. I'm not even convinced he won the Kai Kara France fight like at all. Like I was actually shocked that gave him that decision. I thought Kai Kara France, did the better work on the feet. He was able to take down Kai Kara, I think, in the third round, win that round. But outside of that, it was Kai Kara France just being the better striker for the most part. So I don't think he beat Kai Kara France. As far as Alessandro Costa took that fight on short notice, knocked him out, and then Figueiredo, not great at all. Gordon, not great at all. Zalgas, he's okay. But if he's able to beat Moreno, like that's an incredible win there. So I think this fight probably is going to be competitive. Both guys have decent striking, but I do like the striking of Moreno. Moreno's striking this latter half in his career has looked incredible. I think he's making a ton of improvements. I think the grappling could be very close. I think we can have some fun scrambles. So yeah, I think it's probably a pretty competitive fight over 25 minutes. Weezy, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Pre-tape, I haven't taped this fight yet, but I like Moreno a lot here. Amir Albazi's been away from the cage for almost a year and a half, and he almost died. This guy has had some serious health problems. Brady.
Well, what happened?
I've already forgotten, but Amir has been away for a very good reason, and in his own words, I saw a headline saying that he almost died from whatever transpired while he was away. In the meantime, Brandon Moreno is going to split decisions with Brandon Royval and the champion and Alexander Pantoja. And, he's been at the top of the division. He ran through Kai Kara France. We got Amir probably lost to Kai Kara France. And prior to that, he beat nobody of any significance. You know, Alessandro Costa, that fight was 1-1 going into the third. Francisco Figueiredo is not good. Zhalgas Zhumagulov was 1-5 in the UFC, and Malcolm Gordon. So, like you said, this is a huge step up in competition, not necessarily from France to Moreno, but from all these other guys that he's beaten. And he's been away from the cage for a year and four months. This guy's got 18 pro fights in 15 years. Yeah.
That doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good, right?
No.
I mean, it looks like he got into a car accident.
It does, like a bad car accident.
You know, but that's a neck injury. You know, when you get hit in the face, your neck takes a lot of damage. I mean, like, look, I think Brandon Moreno's better than Amir Albazi everywhere except for wrestling. He's way more durable. I know that. I mean, like, this guy's one of the most durable guys in the history of the division. His boxing is excellent. His conditioning is phenomenal. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who's 11-0 to the submission as a pro, and Albazi's 9-0. So Albazi's a very good grappler as well. But yeah, I mean, I think that Moreno is going to be the much better boxer here. That I think is going to be very, very clean on the feet for Brandon. Brandon's very difficult to take down and hold down. He's getting controlled for less than 12% of his UFC octagon time. So, and you know, this guy's been away for so long now, coming off a fight that probably was a loss. I scored it as a loss. Still a good performance by Amir, but yeah, man, I mean, Brandon's even younger than him by a couple of months, but he's still the younger guy. Brandon's had 31 fights in 13 years. Amir's had 18 fights in 15 years. You know, one of these guys is active, one of them is not. One of them is durable, and one of them almost died. I'm going with Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. I mean, this doesn't look good.
So what does it say? Like, geez, I mean, like,
he said he was a bit scared.
Spinal injury? Was it a spinal thing?
I don't know. I can't read it, but
do you not speak Arabic?
I don't.
Oh man, neither do I. That's why.
Yeah, I would like to know what happened. And yeah, somebody in the chat said like 39 weeks ago. It's not too long ago.
Yeah, so he had surgery on the neck. So, I mean, obviously he's been cleared to fight. I mean, like, they're not going to throw him in there if he's completely unhealthy and not ready to go. But that's obviously, you know, a major concern.
Yeah. And oh boy, the sponsor of the show with another 99. Shout out to Avery Marino. He says, what two fighters are you both most confident in winning this card? Looking for a shiesty two-legger. I'll give mine, and you can give yours.
Okay.
Don't steal mine, though, okay?
So I gotta give mine first then?
I mean, I can give mine first if you want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go Cody Gibson. I know the line it's getting crushed, but I like Cody Gibson. I think it's a great matchup for him, and either gets a decision or even a sub. So Gibson for me, I think minus 190 now.
Yeah, and I'm going Brandon Moreno minus 157. I don't think that's wide enough. You know, there's a lot of questions with Albazi, but I think that Moreno is the much better striker, and we know that Brandon Moreno's durability is unquestionable at this point. So I love durability in 5-round fights. I think that's a major thing, and I think that Moreno's striking is going to be a major advantage for him in this fight.
Yep. I like that. Especially after seeing Albazi almost died. I mean, almost dying, it doesn't really seem like the best base for MMA.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad in anything. Like, being on death's doorstep is bad for whatever career you're in.
Mm-hmm.
The Undertaker, they're the ones who they're the ones who profit when other people die. I mean, everybody else, it's bad for business.
Yeah. So hopefully that partly hits for you, Avery. I hope. But Gibson and Moreno, we do have like Zalal and Malott as massive favorites, but I don't love either of those, to be honest. I think they both win, but I don't trust Malott, and I think the Zalal fight could be a little bit closer than people think. But
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
dude. And not only that, they got good opponents too. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, Jack Shore's 17-2. He's a tough fighter. So it's tough to lay minus 250 against a fighter of Shore's quality. And it's the same thing with Trevin Giles. Trevin Giles has just been in there against the much better guys. Look at Trevin Giles' wins and put them side by side with Mike Malott's wins and tell me Malott should be minus 250.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, that's why I would rather have the Gibson, and Brandon Moreno.
Yeah, for sure. Almost dying is the worst space for life.
Yes.
Tim can confirm. Almost dying is suboptimal. Yeah, I agree.
So bad. Yeah, man.
Agree.
You don't want that.
No. Poor Amir Albazi. Hopefully everything's good and hopefully he recovered great and hopefully he puts on a good show for us Saturday. All right, Weezy, we did it. All 14 fights, huh? That went quick.
Yeah, man. We got through it pretty quick, like we just needed to not be too loquacious on some of these fights, and I think we did a great job of pacing it today.
Yeah, absolutely. So any final thoughts on the card, and also let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, final thoughts are I just found out that my Bears lost on the last play of the game, Brady.
Hail Mary.
On a 52-yard Hail Mary. God damn it. Why? Oh, my God. Avery Moreno. My final thoughts is that Avery Moreno is an extremely generous individual who has really helped us out today. So big shout out to Avery Moreno for your generosity. I hope that Gibson and Moreno cash bigly for you and you get all this back and more. Shout out Avery. I'm going to be doing my usual content schedule this weekend. Going to be going live on Wednesday for Balls Deep breakdowns and probability. And I'm going to try to do an Ask Weezy or Adjust the Tip to give you guys my picks this week. Friday will be the Greasy 4-leg parlay. And I've got a special right now. If you look at my videos, 80% off a 1-month membership on my Dub Club to get take advantage of this stats package that you see here on this screen, Brady. So check that out if you feel like it. And this is an interesting card. I'm going to finish writing up these fights over the next 48 hours and see what spots stick out. But leaning right now with Brandon Moreno looks like a good favorite to back this week. And I'll be taking a really close look at a lot of these totals.
Yep. 14 fights. We're bound to find some spots for sure. So just a ton of work that goes into it, and heck yeah. Shout out to Avery. Avery sponsoring. Like honestly, you sponsored like the next 5 shows. To be honest,
yes.
So we'll be here for at the very least the next 5 weeks of Stat Diggers. All thanks to Avery saying locking it in. I'll be back to sponsor next week with Firepower. Good night, fellas. Good night to you as well, Avery. And good night to all of you guys as well. My full card breakdown and prediction video will be out Tuesday at the latest. Pretty much taped every fight but one. So, and then other than that, the regular content's going to follow. Best of luck, everybody. Thank you for hanging out, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.